Hi, Sandra.
Hey. Hi,
How are
Elizabeth.
you?
Hi, Chief, Maribel,
Hi,
Bernie.
how are you, man?
Hey.
Okay, so just as a quick update, Sandra, Mayor Nickerson is running a little bit late, and I think so is Kristen. So I think we're just going to go ahead and get started. Okay, it is 3:31. We can go ahead and call the Virtual Sustainability and Resiliency Task Force meeting to order and jump right into silent meditation and the flag. And I don't know who we have on for the village. They could, perfect, thank you. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Wonderful, thank you. And I will go ahead and do the roll call in Mayor Nickerson's absence. Start with, let's see, Member Kirk, Member Valencia,
Here, present.
Member Fruitstone, oh, Vice Chair Fruitstone,
Present.
and Kristen McLean is not here, and our liaison, Mayor Nickerson, is also not present, but we also have Chief Magnuson with us. Okay, so we'll move right into approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any changes that they'd like to make?
No.
Nope, I'm good with, I'll move to accept the agenda.
Okay, do I have
I'll
a second?
second.
Hearing
I'll
a second.
second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the agenda has been approved. Welcome, Mayor Nickerson.
How are you guys doing? Sorry about that. My internet, they're trying to shut me out. Chairwoman trying to shut me down. I can't have them do it to me.
No, that's wonderful, and welcome. I'm looking forward to calling you Mayor the rest of this meeting.
Omar is okay. I appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, we're just at the beginning. We just got through the agenda, and we're going to jump into the approval of the minutes. Does anybody have any changes to? Oh, go ahead, Mayor Nickerson. You have something to add?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, if I can add to the agenda one item, you guys can put it wherever you want to. The title of it should be Change Charter to Bylaws.
Okay, we did approve the agenda just now and voted on it. I don't know if we can have another motion to unvote on it and reapprove it.
Yeah, can we have another motion? All we have to do is do another motion for to approve with the new addition.
Okay, and will you say that addition one more time? I'm sorry, I was thinking procedural.
So just a motion to approve the agenda with a new addition.
No, I'm sorry, what is the new addition?
Change charter to bylaws.
Okay.
It's a simple change. It's not.
Okay, I'll move to approve the agenda with the addition of change charter to bylaws as the new H5 and move the current H5 to H6.
I'll second that.
There's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the new agenda is changed. Perfect.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Nickerson. Okay, approval of minutes. Does anyone have any changes or adjustments to the minutes that Member Kirk has put together from last meeting? No changes? Okay, can I get a motion to approve that?
I'll do a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the minutes are approved. And we'll jump right into F, acknowledgement of visitors and special presentations. Mayor Nickerson, do you know of anything specific we have? I see some items on the agenda, but separate from the items on the agenda.
No, Madam Chair, no special presentations today. It's just us.
Okay, and I'll open up to good and welfare. Let's see who we have. Looks like we don't have anybody else in attendance, so we can move right past that and jump into agenda item number 1, ethics training.
Okay, Madam Chair. So we're going to have to, Attorney Geller said that because you guys do have to abide by sunshine, that we should have you guys attend an ethics training. You guys know all elected officials, we're going to all have to attend an ethics training. It's going to be done by Zoom, so it'll be pretty simple and easy. They usually do it, sometimes they'll break it down between 3 2-hour sessions. Sometimes it's 1 4-hour session and then a 2-hour session on a different date or something like that. It just goes through all the laws of sunshine and things like that. All elected officials have to do it, and anybody who has to abide by a sunshine law. And Attorney Geller just feels that we should do it just in case we run into any problems or anything later on. And just by doing it, we can kind of CYA where no other council members or anything that might come on and you know, might have a complaint or anything about the task force, we can wipe that out. So.
Is that the same training that I think I've done a training similar to this. I'm just wondering how often it has to be done. Is it?
It's usually once a year or once every 2 years. Yeah, it's usually once a year or once every 2 years. After the training is over, they'll email you a certificate, and then I'll print the certificate out. You guys send it to me, I'll print it out, and I'll keep it in the sustainability files, so that if anybody ever has a question, if you guys went through the training, I'll have that. So it's pretty simple. I'll let you guys know when it happens, when those dates come up. You usually get more than one option. They'll usually give you like different dates, and you can usually do it whatever option you can. So.
Okay. Is there a cost to the training? Or
there's no cost to the training.
Great.
And even if there was a cost to the training, you guys know through the resolution that we passed for the sustainability, the longer one, not the one with the names, but the longer one. It says in there that any cost for anything that you guys have to do, the village will cover that. So.
Perfect.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's pretty much it for that, the ethics training.
Thank you, Mayor Dickerson. Anyone have any questions on
Madam
that?
Chair, if I can ask for a clarification.
Please go ahead.
Do we need to sign up, or are we going to get an invitation to sign up or notification of it?
You'll get an invitation to sign up. I'll take care of all of that for you guys.
Thank you, Mayor.
May I ask a question, Madam Chair? So, Major Nickerson.
I'm trying to listen to my speakers like real small over here, so like on the keyboard, so I'm trying to listen.
But I have a question. So do we have a time limit in order to get the certification to do the whole course, or is it something that we can actually take at any time, at any point, or?
So usually you have that. Usually you have a 1 to 2 year window to do all of it.
Okay.
Just to be safe, I usually do it in one. I mean, I usually knock it all out in one day. You know what I mean? And now it's much easier because it's on Zoom. Because the way we've always had to do it, you guys, was that we would have to go like drive to like North Dade County line and spend like all day there, like 6 hours in a room type of thing. We have to do it like that. But now, a couple of years ago, they kind of changed to virtual, and now, especially with COVID, everything's virtual. So it's pretty easy now the way it is.
Well, it sounds great, and I really appreciate it because probably I am the rookie here in regards to sunshine law and any kind of law, government law. So this is great for me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
So am I. I kind of know stuff. I know to be quiet, not talk about stuff. So this will be good too. Don't worry. I'll see you in the meeting.
Okay, great. We'll hop on down to H2, Fertilizer Ordinance. This is going to be really quick because I don't have any updates. I reached out to our village attorney and kind of outlined the issue to him yet, and we haven't connected about that yet. I think he's still looking into it and doing some research. So I'll follow up with him, if I haven't heard from him later this week, but hopefully we'll have an update on that by next meeting. Anyone have anything to add on that before we move on?
I do. I know that sitting on another board, another group with Found by Beauty, and they're also doing it's RBG, so it's like Rebel Gardening Group or whatever. Like it's named after, of course, RBG. they are very interested in Miami Shores and what happens in El Portal. And so that might actually assist with the council in pressuring the council of Miami Shores to push through with something, you know, as a follow-up. And then maybe the Village of Biscayne Park would also follow through as well. So we could be like the innovators of this for our Tri-Village area. So I'm excited.
I think that's great. And on that, I think we just need to find out what our obligations are in terms of the model from the state. But on that same note, in terms of working with, I think it's appropriate to bring up on this, in terms of coordinating with neighboring municipalities. I know that Miami Shores was just, I don't know if they passed it yesterday, but they were just trying to pass a resolution in support of the conversion from septic to sewer. From what I can tell, it was really a statement about the interest in that, but that's something that their resolution specifically said they wanted to work with neighboring communities. So hopefully that's something that we can maybe collaborate on in terms of funding or just piping lines in the future. So, okay, anything else on H2? Okay, H3, text notification service.
Madam Chair, if I may. You have Hugh Gladwin's hand up. He might have want to say something about fertilizer. You might want to bring him over.
Yes. Give me 1 second. Okay, Mr. Gladwin, welcome. You have the floor.
He's going to need to unmute.
Okay. Yeah. I just I don't know if Kristen's there, but there you are. Yeah. So I can't remember. Remember we talked when we had our meeting with the water keepers and the Little River Conservancy.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, or
Okay.
asking you to refresh my memory, but I know they updated us on the.
Hugh, 1 second. Let me jump in for 1 second, Hugh. Madam Chair, for the record, I need to acknowledge that member Kristen McLean has joined the meeting so that we know when her voice comes up that she's here.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Nickerson. And Kristen, just as a quick update, no update on the fertilizer ordinance. We're still waiting to hear back from the village attorney. And I mentioned that the Village of Miami Shores is passed I believe passed a resolution yesterday, but it was up for discussion about septic to sewer. Okay. And
yeah,
then,
I heard that they passed. I was on a community meeting this morning with a bunch of different organizations in the shores, and I heard that it had been voted.
Okay, and then Hugh wanted to add something on that, so that's where we're at.
Okay.
Yeah, just anyway, we were, I think, appraised of their water to sewer things they were doing, and I also wanted to, related to water and sewer and other things, I for some reason I couldn't get logged on at the beginning, so I wanted to quickly come in good and welfare and ask Omar if it would be okay to give you guys access to the memo that I sent to you and the chief and the village manager yesterday. The reason is this was a memo about the possible LMS funding and how to incorporate things that have just happened, and we've just discovered about the flooding.
Hugh, give me 1 second, Hugh. So okay. So this is about the LMS, the same thing that you sent us.
Yes.
All right. So
I did not copy the task force because I considered it was possible business for this meeting, and therefore under the sunshine, I couldn't.
Yeah. So let's do this, Hugh. This is what we have to do. We would have to add another addition and make a motion for the agenda because it's not on the agenda. So to add it to it, we can put it under new business, or we can put it under H. What would that be? 7, Madam Chair? Would that be 7?
It would be, but we could also, I mean, would it be appropriate to discuss under good and welfare? We could just.
We can do it under good and welfare. We don't have to change anything on the agenda. Absolutely, we can do it.
can we jump back to good and welfare right now, or do we have to wait to get to it again?
We would have to wait till the second good and welfare. Hugh, does this relate to what we're talking about? Because we went through the fertilizer. This doesn't relate to the fertilizer ordinance. No, this is strictly.
No, this has to do with our current LMS proposal.
Okay, so I would say, you, Madam Chair, I would recommend that we wait until the second good and welfare, and then he do it at that point.
The only question I've had is, in good and welfare, if you guys decided to make it some kind of action item, say for
If you're looking to make it an action item, then we would have to amend the current agenda and add it either in the agenda or new business. Madam
well,
Chair.
in that case, if you don't respectfully, could I ask Kristen what she thinks? I mean, she's the person who I believe you've appointed to be kind of the liaison with the LMS. Do you think this is something you can deal with on your own with the village manager, or do you want to put it on as a potential action item? I think
Bring it up to new business.
Okay.
Or unfinished.
I believe that Kristen is sort of empowered to act for the task force on her own. She doesn't, as long as she's.
And I've had a preliminary meeting with the village manager, so I can update at whatever point makes sense. And I think new business is fine with you, because I think that I think we should put it on new business and maybe use that as an opportunity to move it forward, because we did have another flooding. We have recently had yet another round of flooding, and I think there's some things to discuss about escalating the priority of this. So let's put it on new business.
Okay.
I'm sure you would have to say, LMS update. You need a motion for LMS update to be in addition to the agenda under new business. And a second.
So can I motion, or just?
Yes.
So I motion that we add LMS update under new business.
I'll second.
You're all in favor, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Aye.
All in favor of adding LMS funding as a line item under finished business, say aye.
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 All opposed,
Aye.
say nay. Hearing none, the motion is accepted. So,
Okay.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Mayor Nickerson, just for my understanding of unfinished business, if there's a significant topic that we want to discuss under there, it does need to be added. It's not just a kind of catch-all.
No, usually it's added. Yeah, if it's a significant topic, we added when we're doing the agenda or something.
Okay. And if it's just kind of a general update, we can just discuss it without moving to officially add it.
Usually everything on the agenda, even if it's a discussion item, is usually added to the agenda in some shape, form, or fashion. So,
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
no problem, Madam Chair.
Okay, great. So we'll get to that in hopefully short order. But before that, well, let's go back to H3, and I believe Vice Chair McLean, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Kristen. Vice Chair Fruitstone has an update on this, but I'm not sure. There she is.
Hello. Okay, so what I was doing is looking at, I reached out to remind.com, and because it is an educational platform. I went to their customer service, and I mean, most platforms online don't really, you have to email them. They don't necessarily, there's not a phone that you can call and reach out. I have not received correspondence back for that, but in my research for looking for other platforms, I know that we discussed last week that, and it came up that Courtney was going to try out an app. I was researching ways that if we do find something, or that we could create something that to find funding for it. And I did locate 2 different platforms to maybe find grants or money available. If Sandra has her friends that design, member Valencia had said that she has people that she knows that are app designers. And one of the platforms was, I looked it up, that there is the Center for Digital Government, and they have an award. And I saw that the city of Miami actually won one last year in 2019. And it had different categories that you had to meet in order to win that award. It did not, in my article, give the amount of money that was available to receive. And lastly, I also saw that there is grants.gov, because my search was initially for municipalities to receive funding outside of something like what Adam Old or former Mayor Cubillos had won. I was searching for different ways of finding funding for these things. So that's what I've come up with. Not very interesting.
I actually, if you allow me to, I actually did a lot of research regarding a couple of options that we have and how to communicate with our community within our municipality. And I created a presentation. I'm a nerd, so I'm sorry if it sounds like, and if it looks like, wow.
No.
But I really enjoyed this, and I've been in advertising. I'm always pitching, so it looks like a pitch. So if you allow me, I would love to share that quick presentation. And so,
absolutely.
And based on that, maybe we can move forward regarding either making in reality some quotes, because I had already reached out to the developers, but they were like, well, what is exactly that you need? And until we understand what we need and where is their scope, they cannot quote anything at the end of the day. So, but I have reached out to 2 companies already, and they're on call for now, but I would like to share this with you guys. I'm going to try to be as quickly as I can. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
Mhm.
again, looks great.
I'm a nerd and I love reading
No,
things.
no, we appreciate it. This is exciting.
So basically what we're looking for is it takes a notification service for the Village of El Portal. And what I found is we have three options. Is either mass text messaging services that they're already there. I mean, it's something that is being proved. Many of the municipalities here in the south of Florida use them. Some of the companies I'm going to show you, like, hold on, how do I move this somewhere else? Oh, here. There you go. So, and it's one of the best ways because it's the easiest in terms of reaching out, first and foremost, the elderly community. Some of our elders do not have a smartphone. They still have a flip phone or just a regular phone or whatnot. So I think that SMS, is easier to get in contact with them as well, so that we can reach the whole mass. And so that is one of the things I found is interesting for us. And also 90% of all MSM messages are opened within the first 5 minutes, because at the end of the day, it just creates, you know, that sort of like anxiety. Sometimes with the app, you don't go to the app for a while. You don't go to the app, like for instance, Nextdoor. I don't go to Nextdoor every day. I mean, I go to Nextdoor once in a while when I want to just, you know, find out about gossip, to be honest, because this is the only thing that is helpful for, in my opinion. So anyway, so there's certain things that why we should choose text, and there is, hold on a second, a little bit of pricing for two different companies. So there's different packages depending on the amount of text that we're thinking about and sending per month. And it doesn't really matter how many users or how many numbers we're reaching out. This is just a matter of how many texts and what kind of texts. They will give us, you know, packages of 2, 4, 6 text words, meaning it includes video, or it can include actually a live chat or whatnot, depending on the package. And that is one of the companies. The other one is a little bit higher up in pricing, but it is a little bit more, I will say, modern in the way that the backend works. So it will be easier friendly or user friendly for us to manage. I don't know if it's us, the manager, whoever is that we need to decide who is going to manage this kind of messaging out to the community. The other option is the push notifications, which is different to the SMS. As you can see, the notifications, you get them on the smartphones. It doesn't work on a regular phone. It just works for smartphones. They are connected to either cell or data services. They need to have data services on their cell phones. And the good thing about the notifications is that the content could be hosted either on a website, or it could be hosted in our website, on another website, and another partner, or even can open up an email as well. It's just a link to your email. There's certain things that are good about push notification is that we centralize municipal information in just one cloud. So that is kind of, kind of interesting. So it's one central location for local governments to post events, notifications, and for citizens to stay up to date. We can send, anything regarding schools, emergency notifications, utility outage, something that we are not actually servicing our community with at this point. There's a little bit of a pricing. This company I found is kind of cool, to be honest. It's been a while in the market, but they've been improving. And I think that this will be the whole package that we will need. It will be around $999, $1,000 a year. Savvy Citizen, and it is as many notifications as we want. And it all depends on how they will host the content for us, or we can just divert our notification to any other third-party content. And then the other one is the M-governance that is called right now. So we're not talking about e-governance. Instead, like e-commerce is not e-governance, it's M-governance, because it's about mobile. It's not about only websites. It's not about just only being on a computer. It's about everything is just mobile. So it's built our own application. And of course, is the next step for any municipality to actually get connected and get engaged with their community. That is something that a lot of our community, our municipalities are getting involved in lately. But for that reason, we need to understand what is it exactly that we need from that app. So these are this is a list of engagement touch points that I believe, or that I've seen that it will be part of our app. So it's about submitting public works requests, for instance. That would be fantastic that even our app gives our residents the chance to submit public works requests. That would be great. Paying water bills. We can connect the app directly to our water bill, our residents' water bill. Filing out a voter registration application. So in 2 years' time, we will have something absolutely cool, registering everybody as as voters in our community through our app. Remitting public parking pay, researching community events, signing up child for youth league. Well, we don't have that now, but we will at some point. Reading town council meeting minutes, renewing and remitting payment. Well, you name it. Those are all the touch points that a regular municipality will need to interact with their community within that app. And once we have that, then we can actually get to a point of quoting, making decisions on, do we really need the app right now, or we can start from the point of push notifications or just SMS services. Stop sharing. So that is basically what my research, a little bit of what I did. I will share this with you guys. I will send this to Courtney so that you can have 5 minutes. And I will create a Dropbox for
Sandra. Don't send it to Courtney. Send it to Mayor Nickerson.
Okay, sorry. Sunshine law. There you go. You see?
That was great, Sandra. Thank you so much. I'm sure
That was exciting.
Madam Chair,
Courtney, go ahead.
if I may, our village is currently, from a technical standpoint, on Microsoft 365, and that platform integrates extremely well with certain texting services that are free for testing, but not for actual implementation. And as Sandra's a nerd, so am I. And so I worked out some of the sample, basically using my own situation. So I just wanted to show that, if you don't mind. But one of the things that Sandra really hit on is, before we select something, we need to get what the requirements are. And I think the requirements have to be things like, what do we have to keep around for sunshine and for posterity, et cetera? How does that have to happen? Because that has certain implications into what we can do. So I'm going to do a quick share here. So basically, there are 3 different things here. One is simply the notification that goes out. Another is the people who are on it, whether they're active, so we would be able to have a list of things. And the third thing is whether you want to do it by a form. So right now, I'm going to, for that, let me do a play. And I got to move us out of the way. All right, so I'm going to send something out. And you guys are all, the people who gave me their phone numbers and everybody's email, you'll be getting one of these in a few seconds. So I'm going to say river flooding, you know, as an example, Northeast 85th and Northeast 86th between North Miami and Northeast 2nd, whatever. All right, so, and this could be done through either an Android, could be sent from either an Android or an iPhone. So you should have just gotten an email and a text to if you provided stuff. The same technology can be used based on triggering it off of sending an email or by going into one of these and creating a particular message. Again, subject, new flooding. And you can put in the content here, all of El Portal, whatever they want, what you wanted, you can categorize them. You need attachments. And if you do one of these, it goes out polling every minute, which I think is certainly fast enough. My point in doing this is to show simply that it can be done very easily using the infrastructure that currently exists. In El Portal, there is minor additional costs simply for the texting service.
So Courtney, we already have this capability right now with our existing tech system.
So, El Portal uses Microsoft 365. So what you're seeing here, the resiliency test that you see here, these lists here, the flow here, that is all included with what they have. What is extra is the actual texting service. And let me just bring up, I've moved the header over.
Is that part of Outlook in 365?
Outlook is one of the services that 365 offers.
365 is basically a service bundle.
Yeah.
So it includes all the Microsoft.
Many of, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Did you send that out? I didn't get anything.
Yeah, me neither. I was wondering because I didn't get anything either.
I didn't either.
Did you get it or no?
No.
No.
I think I'm not on the list, but
No, the only people who should have gotten it were these people. Where am I here? Hold on one second. The people who should have gotten it were these people. Nobody else got it, really. Didn't get an email or a text. Hold on, let me.
No.
I don't have my phone.
No.
Well, no, I'm not on the
Answer should
list.
not have gotten a text. Maribel, you didn't get a text? Okay, Maribel's not there.
No,
She's muted.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not get it.
And nobody got any emails. Well, that's interesting because I've gotten them all. Anyway, my point is that these things can be done relatively cost effectively with relatively little effort if it's simply notification. But if we want to have any sort of e-governance, then we kind of have to review what our cost structure is going to be. And again, my point here is and I think Sandra stated it very well, is we have to understand what our goal is and what our requirements are, because we can't select a solution just because it has functionality if we're never going to use that functionality, or it's missing half the functionality that we really need. So I would say, to take this much further, somebody, and Sandra seems to be gung-ho, so I kindly recommend Sandra, needs to work with, whether it's the village manager, the mayor, and the chief, but the ones who would be the ones communicating out to the village and say, what are your requirements? How often does this happen? Do we need to do it by a mobile phone, or do you want it from a desktop? What do we have to save? How often is this going to happen? Is it graphic? Is it text? And get that down so that she can, using the stuff she presented or other stuff, say, based on that, here's what our real three options are, or our only option is. But without the requirements, we're just kind of showing what our possibilities, not any sort of recommendation.
Yeah, I think the next step, to your point, Courtney, is to now have those conversations and acquire a list of requirements, and also check with the lawyer to see if there's any restrictions about whether the village, from a legal point of view, has any guardrails it wants to put around it.
One of the things regarding like SMS, like the messaging, text messages, for sure, we need to actually give the chance the residents to opt in to it. That for sure. It's not that we have to, we cannot just bombard it, everyone, and with text messages just for free and just freely. No, we have to have an opt-in option, because the legality to it is you can't do that. They have to opt in order to get text messages. But it will be interesting for us to just run a campaign to actually get, phone numbers or even emails. Right nowadays, we don't even have a proper database. So this is, I think, is a great opportunity to create that we don't have at this point. And we can start only with one of the options first. And then at this point, I don't think we are sophisticated enough in many ways to get onto the super app, in my opinion.
Well, and I'm not sure we need
What
it
is
too,
the
right?
flexibility?
Yeah.
What's the flexibility of, if we do go into the advanced, is it easy to go into a more advanced, or do we have to re-sign up, or these things just transfer very easily into the next level? So we can start at a base level, and then as we continue to grow or need this, it looks like it's truly expandable once we get into an app for the government.
The Savvy Citizen that I shared with you guys, is a Savvy Citizen? Yes, Savvy Citizen is pretty scalable. So they have different, you can actually expand the services and the reach that you want and the capabilities of the app. And it starts from just simple notifications to like having a proper app design or custom made to us. They have the source code already done. So that what they need to do, we need to just hook to them, and they will create kind of like a look-alike, or how can I say? It's just, the branding will be for us because it's all portal. But at the end of the day, we can start just only with notification services, and then going up to like you have to download the app, and with the app we can have different services and different capabilities. But it's very scalable. That's what I spoke with this.
So I have a couple questions actually for Courtney and Sandra. So Courtney, on the, this existing, I'm just particularly interested in leveraging the existing system that we have for cost purposes and for speed. And then, I love the idea of having an app that you can do all of these government programs through. I love that idea, but just thinking about if we already have something, getting something out quickly as issues arise. With the existing Office 365, is that sending out SMS messages that you don't need data for?
So no, with Office 365, what is included in that with your email service is you can send out whatever emails you want. The texting, there's a hook from Office 365 into different texting services. The one I selected primarily because it was the cheapest and, kind of me, was one that really, it's called Twilio. And it's like, I don't know, 0.75% per text. And that's per recipient. So if I send it to 5 people, it's 0.75% times 5.
Okay.
So
And
to me, a lot of this comes down to, sorry, Madam Chair, I didn't mean to cut you off,
That's
but a
okay.
lot comes down to really defining what our purposes are, because this could be something that seems cheap, but based on the way we want to use it, might be really expensive, or based on the way we want to use it, might be really cheap. And some of the things that Sandra presented might be a lot cheaper and a lot better. We just don't know yet because we don't know what we're looking for. We have technical capabilities. We don't have any functional restrictions to say this makes sense.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. And that actually leads me to a question for Sandra. With some of those pricing charts that you sent, it would say, 500 messages. Is that to 500 phones or 500 different messages to an unlimited amount of phones?
500 different messages to an unlimited
Okay.
amount of phones.
So
Yes.
that looked pretty efficient price wise. I mean, I think that 500 was like $200 a year or something very low.
Yeah.
Okay, and then for both of the 365 and some of the ones that you proposed, Sandra, can you embed a link in the text message? So even if we didn't do an app that has a website and all these things, we could link to something like, obviously we'd have to have the village officially adopt it, but like what the great website that Hugh has, that could be a link in a text message, or we could take what Hugh officially put it on the village website and have the link sent to that. That's okay. I see Sandra saying yes. Courtney, is that an option on the 365? Do you know?
You can put in anything you want in the text body.
Okay.
If you wanted to pay more, you could also do an attachment.
Gotcha.
A particular image, or here's the map, or whatever it is. But that's the same with pretty much any of these services. And again, I'm going to say it one more time because I think it is absolutely critical. We got to figure out what the requirements are before we start evaluating anything. If we don't have requirements, I mean, you need to go to work. Do you need a bus? Do you need a car? Do you need a minivan? Do you need a tractor trailer? We don't know because we don't know what the deal is.
So is that something, do you mean we don't know what the deal is in terms of legally, or we don't know what the deal is as in we don't know what we need? Because
I don't think we know what we need / what we want. I don't know if we just want to send out a message saying, hey, the river's flooding, back off. I don't know if we want to send out maps. I don't know if we want only one person to send it out.
But isn't that a conversation we should be having, like trying to figure out what we need?
Yeah, that's part of defining the needs of I think you're exactly right, Elizabeth. We need, to Courtney's point, we now we need to just go ask the village, for sure, the village manager, the chief, and the lawyer, right? And maybe other members, and you, Mr. Mayor, like what do we, and also I would like to point out, having been involved in a lot of these projects, there's the absolutely have to have, and then there's the nice to have. And I think that, we have to just be careful about what we call scope creep. Like, we don't really necessarily need to buy a Cadillac when what we really need is a Corolla, and focusing on the core. Sorry, I have a very barky dog. Hold on.
But exactly what Kristen said is what we need to do. And so I would, Madam Chair, I would suggest that since we can't get together as a group outside of these meetings, that we designate someone, and Sandra seems to be very interested, so that, if she's interested, it would be great as far as I'm concerned, to work with the village manager, the chief, the mayor, and the attorney to come up with a list of functional requirements or maybe some sort of technical requirements, has to work on these operating systems, has to work with just flip phones. I don't know. Whatever those requirements end up being, I think that's what we need to do as the next step before we say, hey, using Office 365 and the built-in tools makes sense, or buying one of these packages that Sandra presented makes sense. I don't think we have enough information, and I think that would be our logical next step.
And if I may, Madam Chair, but even myself doing the research, I just realized that we don't know what we want, what we need, and what we will need in the future either. So at the end of the day, whatever it is that we made a decision around what the scope is regarding whatever the solution we decide to go with, is thinking not just in a short-term solution, but actually in a long run, like maybe we have better, I don't know, better in a couple of years when we have like restaurants maybe or something commercial, and then we will have more income, and we will have more money. Then we can actually create and go into investment into a huge app. But at least at the end of the day, what we need at this point, we need to think about in the long run, if it's flexible enough to actually build up on it. Because I just realized that we really didn't know. When I just called my friends, the app designers, they were like, so what is it that you're looking for? And I was like, I don't know. We're talking about some notifications regarding flooding and, certain things about the weather, but it would be nice to have also, communications regarding the meetings, the town hall meetings, and then especially events. And I don't want to create another Nextdoor, because it's not about creating a social media environment for us. It's about just communicating one way, in a way, and that's it. It's creating the communication from the city to the residents, and from the residents to make decisions regarding whatever the content and the communication is about, in my opinion, because another Nextdoor we don't need.
The other thing, Sandra, that you mentioned, I think is important for us to talk about as we take a step back and evaluate the needs here, is the fact that I'm not even sure actually what the status is, but you point out, do we actually have a database, Omar, of residents where we have a pretty good handle? I mean, I know Yanis had an email list that I belong to, but do we have, because I think that's also part of this, right? Like if we're going to address an app where we're going to be collecting phone numbers, we probably want to consider some kind of like village-owned protected database of residents, so that not only do we know people's phone numbers who opt in, but we should know where our elders are. Like we should have the ability to actually run a report and know some basic.
Well, that's a grassroots,
database.
I think we're going to, yeah.
No, I mean, I just
Right.
like,
I think, Kristen, you're on the right track.
Yeah,
it needs to be both.
Madam Chair,
You're waiting.
Mr. Gladwin has had his hand for a while. I don't know if you want to come in. And then before this is all done, I'll come in and I'll say a couple of things.
Sure. Maribel, you're cutting out in and out. I don't think we were able to hear the last thing you said.
Yeah.
And Hugh, I'm so sorry. I thought you already spoke for that hand. I thought it was an old hand.
Oh, no problem.
So let me really quickly hit Maribel if
Sure.
you can cut out, and then we'll come back over to you.
Well, I think what we need to do is probably follow along with what Member Sandra and Member Kirker is saying, along with Kristen. I think we all agree that is, today we can define the beginnings of our needs. I support what they're saying. I assure you that there are 8 million different email accounts. And I think that we need to just start from scratch. And there are a ton of new residents that are not on anything. So we need to get the word out in advertising. Come sign up for this new notification that is not Nextdoor. But then we also need probably a grassroots where we're knocking on doors and letting people know, because they're not on Nextdoor, they're working day to day. Like it needs to be, or just my suggestion, get officers. I've done newsletters door to door myself, and I meet a ton of residents. But I think that's how we can build and grow it. Relying on something that already exists is all right, but I don't think it's really the best solution, because we've had so much turnover in this town, in this village, that I wouldn't support that. So before we finish today, I think we do have the time that we get to defining our needs, and then we can move forward. For sure, it has to go through, admin and finance anyway. So we need to have a great presentation of, of options supporting what Member Valencia has presented and Member Cook.
Thanks, Maribel. And I agree. I think that the village and the council and Mayor Nickerson and our administrative staff also need to generally tell us what they need. But the point I was kind of making earlier was that I do think that we, as the Resiliency Task Force, also, and I think this is the point you were making, Maribel, we also should tell the village council and Mayor Nickerson and everybody what we think we need from a resiliency and sustainability perspective as just one piece of the broader village needs. So I think that we should be thinking about the piece of that pertains to us as well. Mr. Gladwin, thank you. Sorry about the old hand.
No problem. I think you two nerds, I consider you excellent modern nerds, and that was a great summary. I consider myself an ancient nerd. And the problem with ancient nerds, you can see in our weather site that I put up, kind of overwhelms you with information. But so I think I thought the different options presented were great. They're all like on the notification side, getting the word out. And I think the ones like the Office 365 one, could be done for very minimal expense. I do think one absolutely key thing is what Sandra said, is you can't do push notifications without getting people to opt into it. So in a certain sense, when the village has sent out email blasts in the past, that's kind of different because it is coming from the village. But I think you have to get around that issue on any particular thing. Now on the issue of databases, and I'm kind of going on my own in a little bit parallel direction, which I hope will be helpful, but I won't discuss it now, but I just put up the maps and stuff that we'll be using on the weather site, hopefully to get people to add to the information they've given and participate in getting stuff on the map. So what I'm hoping is that on that site I would have a link that people can click and then voluntarily put in their information. That kind of thing is like building up a database of people who want to participate by giving data on the amount of flooding and stuff like that, and with guarantees that their own particular information will be confidential, and that kind of database building I have a lot of experience with, but at the same time, like I have former graduate students and colleagues at FIU working in all these different areas. So when they call me out of retirement for advice or data or something, there's a trade-off. So the most recent trade-off is I'm helping with one project, but in return I get the full-time, the free services of a person in graduate student in computer science at FIU who designs apps of the type where people can go to a map, say what information they're giving, specify if they want, it to go into the anonymous, all kinds of things like that with security and everything. So I'm going to go ahead on my own and set that up. Not suggesting necessarily that it's something we could use, and it might be way too technical, but to me, in addition to the straight notification function, there's advantage of having a database That's like an elevation and flood and weather database, which, you know, like you can go to the weather page now and look at the maps and find your house. But there should also be a facility where you click on this link, put in your address or put in the nearest cross street, and it will come up with the flood prediction or the elevation of your house or information like that. In other words, it's not just notification, but people can find things out. And this would be very specific database. It wouldn't do all the things that some of the more general things that would serve major needs of the village would do, but I'll just be exploring it. And, you know, anything that I do, I'll put up on the resilience related email, just so people can check it out and make sure you don't think I'm doing anything bad. But anyway, so to be reported on that. But do take a look when you get a chance at the new base map I just put up for flood information, because I'll be putting, you know, I got some great information from you, Sandra, but, you know, and I have the wonderful reports that Officer Battaglia put in and everything. So I'll start putting stuff up there, but I'll be hoping residents will help too.
It hurts me to think about seeing at that map. Trust me, I'm in the flooded, horrible area.
Oh,
It's
God,
so-
I was looking at your area. I mean, there's a 2.5 foot contour line on the map, and it really corresponds to.
I know. It's bad.
Other than where Elizabeth lives, and there's a very bizarre phenomena going on there.
Yeah, I feel your pain,
but-
Sandra.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Your thing is going to require something to be added to the, you know, to the LMS list, because there's a completely different flooding phenomena going on around Sherwood Forest Park.
Yep.
Basically, it floods at 4 feet, whereas everything else floods only under 3 feet.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about that during
Yes.
our business.
Mhm.
Madam Chair, you had mentioned that you wanted to have our, i.e. the sustainability and resiliency task force requirements in this, but I see, I guess, I see this as we wouldn't be allowed to send anything. At least that's not what I would expect. I would expect it to come either from the village manager or from the police chief for emergency use, or from the mayor. Those would be the 3 users I would see. So I'm not sure what you would add.
No, I totally agree, Courtney, that I didn't mean for us to participate in the sending of notifications. I just meant it's coming before us because we think that there's a sustainability and resiliency need. And I think that we should brainstorm and discuss what that need is for the resiliency and sustainability piece of it. And then, but that, knowing that that's only, you know, a small percentage of the overall village needs. But I do think it's, as Sandra works with the village, I think it would be helpful to have her come in and say, listen, this is what the task force wants out of it for sustainability and resiliency purposes. What all do you need? What are the parameters? What are the limitations? All that kind of stuff. But like, what do we want out of it? We want people to be notified if there's an emergency flood situation, right? Like that's what I'm saying. What do we want out of it?
And if you will allow me, Madam Chair, I would like to add that thank you, Kearney, for thinking of me. And yes, I'm passionate about it. And I'll be happy to, if you all agree, I will be happy to work with Mayor Nickerson and Manager Alou. At any point, we can actually have some sort of like conversations and start from that point on.
Great, thank you, Sandra. But to that end, you know, what are we imagining this would be used from a resiliency and sustainability standpoint? Like when would we request or hope that the village would send out notifications to people related to
I think flood and storm related alerts for sure.
I agree. Flood and storm related. That's number 1. Flood and storm related alerts. You got that, Mayor Kirk? Member?
I was going to say that I would suggest instead of us starting it, that we should see what comes out of the discussion Sandra has, and then see if anything is still missing. Because if we're not the primary user of it, i.e. we're not sending things out, somebody else is sending them out, then I would imagine that they would have a superset of requirements rather than our subset. And we could review what Sandra has and say, is there anything else we see that's missing, as opposed to starting from scratch?
I agree. I think that that's the most efficient way to do that. I was just more so referencing that we should think about what we want from it.
Fair enough.
And I will add to it, I will say, and I agree with all of you, and especially, well, Elizabeth and Maribel, that I agree to the notifications regarding weather and floating information. But also, and I will share with you later what, because I participated to these webinars and regarding sustainability in Miami-Dade and resiliency, I was really taken into a conversation regarding composting. And I think at some point as a task force, we should actually create this event that is about telling and teaching our kids how to compost, and probably have composting stations that we can actually work on. And that is something that I'm bringing to the table, but maybe that would be a secondary use for us as a task force to send out invitations for events like that, or notifications regarding there is a new sort of like, I don't know, technique, or there is a new whatever regarding composting or what to do with water, even notifications regarding the change of the water. I don't know if you, a couple of weeks ago, you got an email from Miami-Dade Water Department letting everybody know here in Miami Shores and El Portal that the water was going to have a little taste, a different taste into something. And that is something that we can actually utilize at the task force as the, the content manager, and through our officials to send out to the residents to let everybody know, because most of us don't read emails. I do, because I'm a nerd, but most of the residents do not read emails, and they miss information that is really important. So I think that will be the secondary use, certain things regarding composting, events that, regarding sustainability, everything, the Little River cleanup, all the stuff that we can actually.
Yeah, or even perhaps, depending on how our fertilizer ordinance goes, there is a complete prohibition during certain months. So, not inundating people, but if it's, I know it's during the rainy season, so I don't know when it's said, but say March 1st, a notification saying you can no longer fertilize your lawns, and an ending one in, August. But yeah, I agree. I can see a lot of uses for that. Obviously, we'll have to talk about parameters and limiting, and I think that's where the village, expertise comes in helpful. Okay, great. Does anyone else have anything else on this before Sandra goes on her way?
Madam Chair, let me jump in, if I may, Madam Chair. So I think that kind of from everything I'm hearing, and what I wanted to say earlier was that I think that you guys are looking for a place where it's, because if you don't want it to be like a social media thing, then there has to be a central location where information is being disseminated from, right? So you're talking about, and it's not going to be all about, if it's not going to be all about, just floods, it's going to be about events and notifications about meetings and things like that. So you're talking about, it probably should be the type of thing to where, residents can send their thoughts into that central location, whether it's the, the vice mayor or mayor or the clerk. Maybe it's in the clerk's description. Maybe the clerk does that from now on, once this is created. And it goes there, and then from there, they disseminate it out through here to everybody else, because you can't take the chance that residents that are not part of the government are going to always know the right things to send or what to say. You just can't take that chance, you guys. You know what I mean? And the chief would be good. Like what the chief and Hugh do, or what they do is really good. But like the chief, he's public safety. You know what I mean? Like he can't be sending things out about meeting notifications. if that's going to be part of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the only people that I think can send things out about everything like that should be it should be part of the vice mayor's job description, the mayor's job description, or the clerk's job description. It should be one of those three.
But I think that it should be able to be activated by the chief in situations of
Public safety.
of emergency. Yeah.
Just from my perspective, I was never, the next door concern I don't think it's super relevant to my thinking of this, because I imagine it being a one-way stream of communication, and period, from the city to residents, no reverse.
Yeah. But the first step, you guys, is to contact Attorney Geller and say, Attorney Geller, this is what we want to do. I think if we streamline it to where, you know, we were just explaining that it goes to one central location, I think that it'll have a high chance on getting to step number 2 very quickly.
Okay, so my question is, if I want to help out moving this along, should I just contact Attorney Geller to have the first conversation, express this what our ideas are, try to, you know, show him, even sharing my presentation to him so he understands what we're talking about, and then from that point on, with his advice, then meet with you and the manager to just talk, you know, further more into what is it that we want or what we need.
So contact him, copy me on that, and then we'll see according to his schedule and things like that. We'll see what we can come up with.
Okay, sounds good.
As long as he gives the okay on exactly what we're asking, which is a one-way, you know, informational distributed system, then I think we'll be that way. But we have to decide, we have to be all on the same page of that right now, because we can't take one thing to him and he okays that, but then we change it next time, you know, that we wouldn't have okayed the change that we make next time. So we have to say right now that we want it to be, you know, residents can send, you know, in their ideas and things like that, but it goes from that one to that one area, and then the government distributes it out to the residents, and the residents, it's a one-way situation. We have to make sure that
in my opinion, all this communication has to be official communication. It's not just, you know, any of us as residents, even if we're part of this task force, we're not officials. So we definitely, that it has to be serious. It has to be properly done. And then the only way is coming from an official.
I agree.
No, that's perfect, you guys. I appreciate it. So that's the first step. Member Valencia, just contact, send me an email, make sure you copy me on the email, and we'll go from there. I'm going through this right now, you guys. I'm looking to create an Instagram for the village, like an official Instagram for like the village of El Portal. And I was going through it and I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to act like I'm in control. Like, okay, I'll send everything. I'll send every picture. But I was thinking in my mind, but you know, I trust myself, right? So I know I'll always send things that are professional and the right thing. And I was trying to just, you know, I was questioning myself yesterday, just chilling, just thinking about the whole situation. I was like, okay, who should have access to this? I was like, okay, everybody on the council, because I don't want to seem like I'm trying to keep anybody up from the council off of it. I said, but where do I like stop that? Like, you know, should the police chief also be able to upload, you know, be able to post? Should the clerk be able to post? I'm like, because if you have, you know, 10 people posted to one account, it can get kind of crazy. But at the same time, I don't want to be exclusive to anybody. So I'm going through that back and forth in my mind right now as far as the same type of thing. So.
And if I can, since this communication is expected to be safety related on a significant portion, I would suggest going for the lowest, not the highest common denominator. So social media platforms, I would suggest staying away from for us, and the texting, being that most people do have a cell phone, and the email, given that many, though perhaps not all in El Portal, given our population, will have email. But Instagram, for example, I don't do Instagram, just as an example, and I'm in their demographic. You know, I don't do Facebook and all those. So going to the lowest common denominator that everybody will have, for these safety related things, I think is a
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, Quinn. I wasn't saying Instagram for what you guys are talking about. I was saying I'm going to look to start an Instagram just for the village, period. Just for communication purposes for the village, period. Not for not even for like, you know, letting people know for emergency purposes, but for more of the light side of communication, I should say. You know, when we have we have the Arbor Day event, you know, posting pictures from the Arbor Day and things like that. Because the thing about it before, Mayor Cabillos had her Instagram where Mayor Cabillos would post a lot of stuff on her Instagram. You know, I don't even have social media. So, but Mayor Cabillos would post a lot of stuff on her Instagram, on her Facebook.
It needs to change.
Her Facebook. It wasn't the Village of El Portal Instagram, the Village of El Portal Facebook, where we have events, the 5K and things like that. We need something officially from the Village of El Portal. I was just saying that what you guys were talking about reminded me of the ideas I have, but nothing for emergency purposes for social media or anything like that.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I think we talked this one out.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead and move on to H4, summary presentation, environmental sustainability session by the FIU Institute of Environmental and Sea Level Solutions and the Office of Global Learning. Is this your agenda item, Mayor Nickerson?
This is Miss Valencia.
Ah,
Yeah, I'm intense today. I'm sorry, I'm running out of battery right now, so I'm running away to get connect somewhere. Jesus, not over here. So sorry, I'm trying. I'm running out of battery.
Let me say while she's getting connected, Madam Chair, if I may.
please.
Let me just say to Mr. Gladwin, Hugh, remember you can always, it was great what you sent to us, myself, the manager, the police chief. Remember, you can always, I always include you and Adam when I'm sending out requesting agenda items and all the, I put you on everything. So remember, you can always contact me to put something on the agenda. You know,
Yeah,
it's good that you didn't send it out to everybody. That was good. I saw that you sent it out to, you know, to myself and the police chief and the village manager, but you're always free to say, when I send that out to request agenda items, you're always free to put whatever you want to put on the agenda. Just let me know.
Yeah,
But just let me know.
right. I know that, and that was, I did that before. This was my goof this time.
It's all good.
I just like Friday morning, I thought of this. Then I tried to get a hold of Kristen, who's about as easy to get a hold of as, I don't know who, the Pope sometimes. on, you know, on all your incredible job stuff that you have to do. So by the time I connected and thought, oh my God, I've got to get this to Omar, I hadn't written what I sent yet. So I actually finished it after midnight. So that's what happened. It won't happen again.
Did we lose Sandra?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Can we go to H5 and come back to H4?
well, H5 is now charter, change the charter to bylaws. So let's give her 1 second. We can go ahead and, I'm gonna go ahead and just hit H6 unless, Mayor Nickerson, unless you have an objection to me jumping around. Okay. Is everybody okay with the next task force meeting taking place on December 2nd? What's everybody's schedule?
Fine with me.
Are we still staying virtual or do we have to meet in person?
We're still virtual, Member Kurt.
Thank the Lord.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm sorry, I lost connection for a minute.
That's okay, Sandra. Are you, let me just wrap up this item. We switched really quickly to H6, which is the next task force meeting, December 2nd at 3:30.
Yes.
Does that work with your schedule?
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll check that off. That we're done with that agenda item, and we'll jump back to yours, the FIU presentation.
It's a long presentation, so I'm gonna just go through all the slides because what I want to do is just share with you guys, and it has links to videos. It has, you know, information that it was really helpful for me, and especially myself, probably for Kristen, that is actually one of our pros in this environment, and to you, Elizabeth, this is very obvious, but for me it was pretty new, to be honest. You know, learning about composting and stuff, and what is it about and what do we do for, in our, especially in the environment here in El Portal. So I really enjoyed it, and that's why I wanted to share with you. And I created this presentation that is kind of cute and stuff because I like to do that. But basically, I will share this with Major Nickerson so then we can all have access to it. I will create a Dropbox. And I will send the access to Major Nickerson so he can share with us all this stuff. I think it's very interesting. So basically, the FIU Institute of Environment and Sea Level Solutions Center and the Offices of Global Learning gave us the chance to participate in these 4 sessions. This is not the first, sorry, this is Lotte Nipsom. My bad, this is not the version. Anyways, but so it's 4 sessions. The first one is the overview and environmental sustainability in Miami. The second was about recycling and composting. The third was about the water resources in Miami and the sea level rise in Miami. And in regarding, when I first joined you, when I first actually had Maribel, inviting me over and just letting me know that this task force was part of one of the boards that he participated in, one of the committees that he participated in, and she participated in. It was like, oh my God, it's interesting for me because this year, because of the floods that I have suffered through the whole year, and it's just coming to an attention to my life, to my personal, life. And unfortunately, sometimes humans are so selfish that until something really happens to you, you don't pay attention to it. So now for me, sustainability and resiliency is a major issue for me in regards to, the future of my life and my daughter's life here in El Portal. So understanding what sustainability is during these sessions. What is this? Hold on, sorry. I don't know why it's showing so off, but it wasn't like that. But some of the practices that are unsustainable. We know the water pollution, the land degradation, intensive agriculture, the overproduction and overuse of plastics. And this was very important for me. This item about when the water withdrawals that exceed the return of the fresh water. Understanding that our aquifer is and the water table is just so close to our ground level here in El Portal. That's something that I have been thinking about. So many of us, I don't have an irrigation system neither in my front yard, actually in my front yard, yes, but it's connected to the water bill. But most of the houses here in El Portal, as far as I understand, and in the Miami Shores, they utilize wells. So they are extracting the water from, from our water table, basically. And I didn't know that we are, extincting that little, especially very thin space there for our fresh water under our ground in Miami. Understanding the impacts of the unsustainable practices. All this was explained in those seminars. And you will see them when I send you see all the access here to the YouTube videos. The altered nutrient cycles. I didn't know last year when we had this bloom, it was disgusting. Remember last year when we had all the fish dead in Biscayne? It was awful. I've never smelled something like that for years, and I've lived in Miami for 16 years, and this was my first time. And seeing the algae, I was disgusted by it. So then I understanding what that means and what is it exactly what is happening. And I didn't know that our Biscayne Bay is just at the limit. This is it. Our Biscayne Bay cannot get more nutrients in the water because without the blooming of the algae. It can get more nutrients for sure, but we were going to kill all our fishes in our Biscayne Bay. So I'm like frustrated, to be honest. During this 4 sessions, I was part of this beautiful seminar. I even cried. I was like, oh my goodness, we need to save our bay. We need to save our waters. This was last year. Remember, it was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting when I just realized what it was. I didn't understand what it was. And this is part of it's interesting that we think that our solution for the El Portal is to be connected to the sewer system, because the septic tanks and the floodings, is kind of like a sanitary issues. It can bring sanitary issues, but at the end of the day, if we connect to the sewer is just throwing all this stuff to the water as well. So I don't know. We need to fight to it and try to save our waters for sure. So, you will have access to all this information. How can sustainable practices affect us? The seagrass are dying. And since 2015, Biscayne Bay is considered location as a tipping point. That's it. I mean, since 2015, we have the algae blooms because of that reason, because there's no way that our bay can sustain any more nutrients in the water. And, economic effects, obviously, tourism losses, commercial fishing and shellfish losses, and real estate losses at the end of the day. If we don't save our waters here, we're going to lose in the value of our homes. Oh, this was this year, August 10th. Actually, it wasn't last year. It was this year, August 10th, this year. It was terrible for me. And what we can do to simply ways that we can become more sustainable in Miami and El Portal to reduce impacts. So, reduce nutrient runoff on leaching and leaching by utilizing compost to enrich soils instead of fertilizers. And that I'm happy that we're working towards getting our fertilizer ordinance done, because we definitely need to do that. Transform waste into resources by composting. Know how to actually compost. And the funny thing is, 10 years ago, when I bought my house, 11 years ago, 10 years ago, I bought it 11 years ago, but 10 years ago, this TV station came over and did a green or whatever, like upgrading your house, because I was installing my windows and installing kind of like a green kind of thing. And they put a compost box in the back of my backyard. I had never used it because I didn't know what to do with it. They installed it for free, but I didn't know what to do with it. Now I know, but it's destroyed now with the flooding. But anyways, anyhow, it's just so beautiful, understanding what we can do, like for instance, farming and community composting. And so that is one of, I believe for 2021, if the task force will allow me, I really want to have this initiative of creating a community composting run. Is either having a station or trying just to have sessions for our kids to understand how it works. And even adults, young adults, elder and adults, whatever it is that they want to participate, and just teach them how to do. And this organization, the Sunshine Community Compost, they come to our communities, our municipalities. They teach everybody how to do it. They install it. They can leave even, the composting stations for us, and they do it for free. So it's pretty amazing. It's a nonprofit that I was really, really proud of, understanding that they're there here in Miami. So this is the second session regarding recycling and composting. If you go to each of, the
curious
video
about
will be
compost, but
embedded.
don't know either what it is or just how to get started in a practical way.
That this guy actually
It's just organic matter that's
explains.
being broken down. Bacteria, fungi, natural decomposition.
Anyways, quickly, because I don't want to take a long time for you guys. You can have enough time and enjoy throughout, but this guy explains composting in such a cool way. So that's why I embedded it in this presentation, but you can actually look into on YouTube as well. You will have access to it. And understanding what composting was, and understanding what the different elements and how that works. And I thought that, for instance, I thought the pizza boxes were like wasted, like it was waste. I didn't know that actually you can compost them. I thought that you just have to throw it away because they have grease. They have the oilies and, all that stuff. Well, you can shred it and make it in little pieces and turn it into little pieces, and then you can compost it. I had no idea. And it sounds ridiculous. Probably, I don't know, I'm very ignorant in this space. I've been a very urban city girl, and now I'm understanding that the land and the water is what is going to save us in the future. You know, understanding what the yes and no's regarding composting. So what is it that you cannot compost whatsoever? So you have no meats, no dairies, no all the stuff, fats, no compatible, not even compatible plastics, no plastic whatsoever. And these two organizations in Miami and in south of Florida actually have pretty amazing programs regarding compostings in their municipalities, in their communities, that we should actually just get into. Then regarding the water resources in Miami, I had no idea that 90% of Florida's drinking water comes from underground in our aquifers. I thought for the underground, I thought it was coming from the water reservoirs or rivers. I had no idea it was coming from the underground aquifers. So that is something that we need to pay attention to, because we cannot destroy our underground waters. And that was really nice to hear, is to see that the restoration of the Everglades will help recharge the Biscayne aquifer and sustain fresh drinking water. So congratulations, Elizabeth, for all the work you do for the Everglades, because we need them.
I'm so glad that messaging is getting out there too, and that was in that presentation.
Okay. Okay. One of the things that it got me attention to regarding the Everglades was the way the South Florida hydrology has changed in the last, I don't know, a couple of 100 years. You know, back in the days, there was not such a thing as Miami-Dade or, you know, Miami-Dade or Fort Lauderdale, even Palm Beach. And if you can see, the Lake Okeechobee just was running freely. And then because of all developments that we have to build up all these canals, have created a problem, a big issue. So that's why the Everglades are losing water, and that's why they're dying. That's what I understood. I don't know, please, Elizabeth, correct me if I'm mistaken, but because of so much development in terms of, you know, buildings, all the building up that we are going through in Miami-Dade and in Broward, is affecting us a ton, and is affecting us in the future for all our residents. And I don't know if the governments, you know, the local governments understand this. I don't know if actually our government, our governor understands this.
I have to say, well, there's a whole Biscayne Bay task force that was just wrapped up that actually has a lot of these elements as central recommendations to the local and state government. So this is definitely being addressed from a governmental point of view.
Yeah, and to add to that, Sandra, so what you're showing is the work that I do with Everglades Law Center. It's the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, is restoring as much as we can of what's on the right back to the left. And that's what I think 2 meetings ago, I brought up the BB-SEER project and requested to be on the project delivery team. And that is part of this. Okay. So we are being represented, the Village of El Portal and the task force, on a big part of what you're on the screen right now, restoring this water. And so El Portal is being represented, and all of the southeastern municipalities are involved in that particular project as well.
Yeah, I read.
Yeah, and to piggyback, children of South Florida are being educated, especially in 4th grade, through the curriculum of the importance of water and the importance of the Everglades. It's completely their 4th grade curriculum, whereas they're supported and go to the Everglades, they're supposed to. And so they're taught about the aquifer and everything, and they use a sponge as an example, and they show development and how, so it's a very hands-on way of learning, and they see firsthand the Everglades. So they're trying to, for future generations, educate the kids between 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, because 5th and 6th graders can sleep overnight at the Everglades and hear the animals and see everything, and why it's so beautiful to conserve. So that's on the educational standpoint. They're really trying to get children to understand and conserve water instead of drinking the bottled water that their parents keep giving them.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Actually, I'm you know, first and foremost, I'm not from here originally, and to be honest, I don't know if my generation really was aware of you know, saving water and really trying to understand that we cannot just waste our waters. And my daughter, I realized that is the one that I'm brushing my teeth, and she's the one always closing the tap, because I'll be, the tap is running and I'll be brushing my teeth. And it's just because I was not that generation. And so I'm happy to hear that the new generations, and thank you, Maribel, for being a teacher, and do that for our kids, because I think it's important. Nowadays that I'm so involved in this, I've been having conversations with my daughter, and it's just like, yeah, we need to save their future. So thank you for both of you doing so many things, and I'm so happy just to be aware of this. So I just wanted to share with you guys this rapidly, and then you will have the information and whatever is it that you need. You have different links everywhere, things that we can do. I was impressed by this. I didn't know that if you see, the counties with ordinance are the ones in red. You see, we're just getting.
That's super cool.
Is it?
It's cool, but it's terrible that we're not.
Exactly.
I'm saying that it's sad that South Florida isn't there, but look at that, they're actually tracking that. And so we need to get on the map.
Absolutely. So I'm happy that this task force is the lead on it. And so thank you, Elizabeth, for making this happening as well. So I appreciate all of you for doing this. I was surprised that South Florida was not. There's no ordinance whatsoever in Miami-Dade, neither Broward. So we need to get on it. Absolutely. We might not have tons of agriculture down here, but we have a ton of fancy homes, putting a lot of fertilizers to just get beautiful landscapers to do the work. Anyway, so I'm happy to hear that. We're talking about the sea level rise and flooding, and I just been through it this year. I'm scared as never before. Seeing this kind of scenarios by 2040, right here. Oh my God, if this happens, really, I'll be on the water, or I will have a, water view, or no, a waterside property. I don't want a waterside property, especially not a pond. So anyways, it's pretty impressive what I've learned from this, and that what we can actually share with our residents as well. I would love to have these available for our residents to have opportunity to just go in and to get some information as well, if that is possible. Major, what do you think, Major Nickerson?
Yeah, so if you guys noticed that I didn't put your bios up yet, the reason why I didn't put your bios up yet, because we're about to unveil a brand new website that myself, Mayor Cabillos also was in on it, but myself and the village manager has been working on for a while. Once we knew that it was part of the transition, once we knew that I was going to be the new mayor, myself, Mayor Cabillos, and the manager, we wanted to just do some new things to kind of bring in the new era, the new administration. And so we're going to unveil a website pretty soon, which is where your bios and your pictures are going to be featured on the new website under a new tab, SNR Task Force tab. And so under that tab, I said that just to say, Ms. Valencia, Member Valencia, under that tab, I will make sure that we put this presentation.
I'm actually going to fix the typos I just noticed and the things that are not really well done. But, and also for you, Hugh, if you will allow me to, or you can actually upload this to our, to your website, that would be interesting as well. I think.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Information.
Kristen, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so I wanted to suggest, Sandra, that we take advantage of the freshness of sort of like the fresh eyes that you're bringing to this conversation, and consider the possibility of maybe scheduling. It's like, I guess I would ask you, there's a lot of material in here and it covers a lot of ground, but whether or not we could organize it and whether or not you could pull forward the things you think are the most important, and maybe we schedule some community meetings on behalf of the Resiliency Committee to the community around this, and dovetail with the types of things we're trying to do around flooding, for instance, or some of the initiatives that we're trying to do. I think that you know, that you're right that there are the issue that we always have is not that there isn't the knowledge base around us, but that trying to activate the community and get them aware and involved, the people who aren't tracking it as closely as we're tracking it, that there's an opportunity here to talk to the community and get the community engaged. So, and in my mind, I'm thinking about how this can come together, because we also, in the Conservancy, we're talking about facilitating a series of community meetings I think are going to start in January, because Miami-Dade County is starting, or is in the middle of, an adaptation action plan, meaning that that's kind of a charrette that they're working on. And the new mayor of Miami-Dade was sworn in yesterday, and we do expect the appointment of a Biscayne Bay. I just totally lost my train of thought, Elizabeth. Who's the position? The Bay officer. There's going to be a Bay officer for the first time, and the county is really going to try to implement the recommendations of this Biscayne Bay task force that came out earlier this year. So there's a lot of opportunity right now, and there will be a lot more attention paid, I hope, in the communication around the county towards these issues. So, you know, I think one of the things you can do is share the things that you're excited about I'd love to see them shared with the community in a more structured way.
Yeah, it's a long presentation. I didn't want to take a long time, to be honest. And I have the information super fresh right now, but it's a lot. It's a lot. There was 4 sessions full on, like 2-hour sessions. So, and I tried to summarize the major 3 items that are more into what happens locally for us. But yes, I would love to do that. So why do you suggest that it will be the next step for me to actually just figure it out and organize myself?
Well, I think it depends, you know, I think if we want to, so I was already queuing up water keepers. I'm hoping water keepers will come. We were going to try to do it this month, but just with the storm and everything else, the election, I think it makes more sense now for us to do it in January.
Yeah.
So maybe we can talk about doing something where it's the village, it's the Conservancy, where I think the goal is aligned. We just want to raise community consciousness about this, want to educate, and also get people connected to who might be interested, connected to working on these issues with us. So maybe we can do some joint, and also if Miami-Dade wants to come talk to the community, this is an opportunity for them to do that as part of what they're doing. So maybe we can make some space for this as part of a community meeting in January.
I would obviously have to get final approval on this, but I think that if you're talking about these educational things, I think the Everglades Law Center would be interested in, doing a seminar or some kind of non-monetary sponsorship.
Yeah, no, we were thinking, so, and I think Ocean Conservancy is also interested. So I was thinking about a series. So we normally do the cleanup in March. We're going to determine our dates. I have to talk to you about that, Mr. Mayor, but we normally do the cleanup in March. And so I was thinking of a series of 3 meetings leading into the cleanup, where we're inviting water-related organizations to come talk, but also trying to build stronger community, not just in El Portal, but Oakland Grove and Biscayne, Belmead and Shorecrest. Like there's trying to get those organization groups to also join, so that by the time we hit March, we're in a good position for whatever we want to do for the rest of the year in terms of programming and action.
And the good thing about this opportunity of, what COVID brings to us in a positive way is that just nowadays being possible to meet with people online so easily. Everybody is used to it. We can invite the whole community if we want.
Exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. We can put together a much larger meeting than we would if we did it in person and try to get people to drive over. So,
and drive people in. Jesus, drive people to the city hall. This is almost impossible.
I just two thoughts on that, Sandra. First of all, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm so excited how excited you are too. And I'm sure that I'm excited to look at this. I'm sure there's like a ton I can learn from that. So I look forward to seeing that. And thank you so much for bringing that to our attention, because I haven't seen the information just going through like that. I've not seen it all in one place in the way that you just presented it. So that's wonderful. And El Portal is also a member of the Southeast Climate Compact. And so I know that they have a lot of resources that we could use in terms of the educational material, but also as we move forward as a task force, opportunities to work with the compact, on sea level rise and Biscayne Bay health issues. And then in terms of the Everglades involvement, I think that people don't always think about the fact that the Miami is the Everglades. People think about Everglades National Park, but the Everglades starts in Orlando. And so I'm always very interested in, Kristen, are you, yeah.
I just want to say the west side of the village was transverse glades. We are the Everglades. The water is flowing under our yards right now. We are the Everglades right now, which is part of the problem with water quality here, right?
It is, and the Little River Canal, the headwaters of the canal are Everglades water. So a lot of the work with water quality coming out of Lake Okeechobee and coming down south in the state, the quality of that water impacts the health of Biscayne Bay. And so, I think that that's important to remember. This is the integrated delivery schedule that is intended to restore that entire water system. So when I was thinking Everglades Law Center sponsorship, like we'd be happy to, we as an organization would be happy to do a presentation on how that all works and how it impacts the village or South Florida generally. And then the last thing I wanted to say was I'm so excited that you brought up the compost, because when the task force was first brought up, that was something that I was really excited about talking about, and perhaps starting some kind of community composting. I compost here at my house, and it's just, you see the amount of food that you put in there, and you think about that being in a landfill, and it's really cool. So thank you so much, Sandra, for bringing all that up. I thought that was awesome.
Well, I'm excited. I told you that 10 years ago, there was a TV show shitting in my house because supposedly I was green. They left the compost box in the back and I never used it. Now it's broken because of the flood. But I'm like, I'm getting into it. I need to, because I didn't know what it was. I didn't understand. They were shooting the TV show and they were like, well, this is composting. I was like, whatever that means. I mean, I didn't care. It's just, how is that possible? And now I can see that, this is affecting us. We need to fix this quickly. Otherwise, I will have to sell the house, and I don't want to sell the house.
Awesome. Well, in the interest of time, we only have about 15 minutes left, so I feel like we could talk about this all day. But does anybody else have anything to add before we move on to the next topic, considering we only have 15 minutes left?
No.
All good? Okay. Awesome. Thank you again, Sandra. Last main agenda item is the change charter to bylaws from Mayor Nickerson.
Oh, how are you doing? Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. Okay, you guys. So first of all, I want to just say thank you for everybody who reached out. Hugh reached out to me. Member Kirk and his wife reached out to me. All of you guys. Member McLean was there at the meeting for a while. I saw her, and of course, the chair and vice chair. Much love to Ms. Valencia also. The chair and vice chair, they were there at the meeting until we actually passed the sustainability resolution. They left right after we passed it. They left right after that. But
yeah, sorry about that, but it was late.
You guys were good. You guys were good. This is exactly what I want to talk about, though. So, pull it up. So this is what. That's the wrong one. 1 second. This one. 1 second. Share. Get a new share. All right, so this is what we passed. Can you guys see this? Is it big enough? Are you guys good? Is it big enough? You guys can see that?
Yes.
Yeah, we're good. All right, so this is what we passed last night. So this is going to lead into the whole charter to the bylaws thing. So the reason we had to pass this, you guys, is because you guys saw we got an email about a new member, right? About Ms. Valencia. And remember, you guys, we put in our charter that, how we're going to do when we, with a member, we vote in a new member and things like that, okay? The thing about it is this, and we also changed, of course, this liaison thing to where it could be the mayor, vice mayor, or councilperson, which is why I'm still with you guys, all right? So this is the reason, this is what we passed. The reason why we had to do that was because it didn't, even though we had the charter, we had this sustainability and resiliency charter, even though we had that, the resolution took precedent over that. So I was talking to Attorney Geller, and he said, look, he said, what you guys need to do, well, not you guys, but whatever. He said, what you need to do, and if you notice, to the chair and to the vice chair, when I was presenting this yesterday, I said, the first thing I said, you guys, the task force voted this through. And then I changed it. I don't even know if you or the vice chair, Madam Chair, noticed that. I changed it. I said, well, you guys, I wanted this, and task force agreed to it. The reason why I changed that instead of saying the task force voted this through is because I had to pass this like this, and we're going to have to pass that charter before we kind of have like an official way of like doing things, an official way of voting in a new member and things like that. So Attorney Geller's suggestion was this. He said, look, he said, when a municipality starts a certain thing up, he said, and that municipality already has a charter, there can't be a sub-charter under it. Those would have to be bylaws of whatever was created. So all we have to do, you guys, is we have to change the word
Charter to bylaws, right?
That's it, which for Member Kirk is probably going to be super smooth, because you guys know he's like the ninja of words, so he'll probably be able to put in like the word charter, and it'll probably go to every time he put charter and just change to bylaws.
That would be find and replace, Courtney. I'm sure you know exactly where it is on the document.
Charter, we just need to replace
Computer type.
Find and replace.
What'd you say, Courtney?
I'm not good with these computer type things.
Go up under editing,
You're so funny. Courtney's a trip. So once we replace the word charter with bylaws, give it to me for the December meeting. I'm going to have the council approve your bylaws. So then they're official. Okay, you guys? And once they're official, then I'll tell you what the next step is, which is not a big step either. But once they're official, I'm going to then fix the other resolution. You guys remember when you guys got created, there's two of them. There's the one that we just passed with the names. Then there's the longer one that's more detailed about certain things. That's the one where I'm going to put in, because in that one it says that members have to be appointed the way the first one did. That one I'm going to also change and put in that members can be appointed by the council, or they can be voted in. Yeah, absolutely. And so if you look at, this is the one I'm working on now, where members can, so this is the longer one. The reason why it doesn't have a number yet, because it'll be whenever after we finish approving the bylaws, I'll come back and work on this one. And you see the first whereas as the Village Council adopted Resolution 2020-15A, which is the first one, and created this. Now we're going to like update it. You see the word update, that's right here. We're going to update it. Okay, when we update it, I'm gonna do a few things, but it's mostly just gonna be about here. So the original one didn't say that, you know, the maximum of the 25 members that we always talked about. I'm gonna put that in, and here, so the members can be, before it was just appointed. So here I put either appointed by the Village Council or voted in per the guidelines of the Sustainability and Resiliency bylaws. This one right here is not going to come up until after the bylaws are passed in December. So this one won't come up until like January or something like that. But I need to pass those bylaws first in order to then put this one into effect. Okay. And those would be the changes. And Courtney, also, this is all about the same thing about the appointments and things like that or whatever. This is about nominating appointed by the Village Council, I put or voted in, but this is also about being removed. And so I just put that, because before it said that a member of the task force could be removed per the council members, but I put that it had to be a majority of the council members that are there, like in attendance and stuff like that. So just to make it clear. But Courtney, this is the one that you might love. Right before it said that we just had to have 6 regular meetings per year, and I added this. I added the which. This should also be read. I added the which may be conducted in person or through virtual electronic technology. And I'm going to put that. So I just need to have those bylaws, everything for the charter, where it says charter change the bylaws, get that to me. I'll pass the bylaws in the December full council meeting, and then I'll pass the second one in January with those changes, so that we'll always be able to meet virtually that you guys, if you guys ever lose a member or anything like that, you guys can vote in your new member. You don't have to wait for the council to appoint a new member and things like that. So I'm going to make those changes, all right? But I just need to do the bylaws is the first thing. Charter to bylaws, that's the first thing.
Madam Chair, with the document, I will change it to charter to bylaws and change the words before and after to make sure it's is versus are and, you know, just grammar. So, you know, instead of saying this charter, these bylaws. So I'll change that.
I think it's still the bylaws.
These bylaws, if we're talking the bylaws. I don't know. In many cases, we've said this, this charter in the charter.
Okay.
Said. So I'm going to make those changes. I'd also like to add in one section which just talks about changes, where I can put in today's date and say the changes were to change charter to bylaws, so we can keep track of what has changed and be very explicit. I want your / the committee, the task force approval that is not in any way changing anything technically, and you guys are okay with it.
Thank you for clarifying that, Courtney. That sounds good with me. Mayor Nickerson, do we need a motion?
We'll do an aye or nay. Let me also say something really quickly. Courtney, what would be your opinion on this? Let me see. Let me do something real quick. We might not have to change it, Courtney, but you would might be able to know. Right here where it says the background overview, where it says this task force was created by the resolution 2020-15, which is true, and passed on, you know, back in May 26th, which is true. Should we say, and also updated yesterday with the new resolution that's updated? Should we put and also updated or something like that? Or or should we just keep it original, Courtney? What do you think?
I'll defer to folks with a little bit more legal knowledge, but I got no problem adding in. I just need to know the specifics, what the specific resolution was.
Madam Chair, what do you think? Because this was the original resolution. I just updated it yesterday. Here, let me show you guys.
I don't think legally it makes that much of a difference. It's just a background. I would just, for ease of future potential amendments, I would just leave it as the original one. So every time a change is made, you don't have to also change the background section, but that's just a preference. I don't have strong feelings.
Okay, I mean, this is the thing. No, I'm with you 100%. After this, though, it won't have to be. Hopefully, another update. Once I pass these bylaws, this is it. It shouldn't be no more updates. So, for example, for this one, the one I passed last night, 2020-39, you see the first line. We put whereas this resolution, the original one was there, and now we're doing and this original one, and now we're like updating it. So we have to acknowledge the original, but then we're saying that that they're like this.
Then thank you for pointing that out. I think if you do it in the resolution, we should also do it in the bylaws then.
So what we should do, Member Kirk, we should simply just say that right here where it's 2020-15, the resolution passed on May 26, 2020, and updated on November 17, 2020 per resolution 2020-36. It's 36, correct?
I think so.
Yeah. And updated on November 17th, 2020 on per resolution 2020-36.
What is 30?
39, 2020-39, sorry, 2020-39. Updated on November 17th, 2020 per resolution 2020-39.
Okay.
And that should be it, you guys. All right. That's it for me, Madam Chair. I don't know if anybody else has any questions.
Courtney, does that make sense? You're covered on that?
I am. Should be over to the mayor in the next 20 minutes.
Thank you. Anyone have anything else on this before we move on? Thank you so much, Mayor Nickerson, for taking care of that too and making sure that we're all consistent and legally correct. So appreciate that. Okay, great. I'm going to try to run through as quickly as we can. Unfinished business, I guess this is where we added in the LMS funding update.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest that we table this for the next meeting, and in the meantime, I will put together a meeting with Hugh and myself and the village manager, and perhaps the engineer to talk about this.
Okay,
Can I
great.
just say one thing?
Yes.
Yeah, please read the memo that I sent if you can, because I think this may be a major topic for the next meeting. But first place, Kristen, do you know if the village's LMS project list was revised?
It was not, so I met with the engineer and with Christia, and our LMS is exactly the way that it was. And part of what I need to understand, and I don't right now understand, is exactly what we need to do to revise it. Not literally revise it. Like, I understand we need to update the grid, but I mean, if we're talking about substantially revising it to increase the engineering that we're asking for or whatever, like, that seems like
Well,
will take more than work than
deal
just
is, yeah, the
saying-
deal is that even if it's revised, what's in there now is going up through the list. And it will be very important to consider at the next meeting, because we definitely have to go beyond our own engineering consultants on this, because
yeah.
those items were put in by the county and as part of a previous process. And
exactly my point. If we're talking about, I mean, I understood the gist of what you said initially, Hugh, which is that what we have down right now won't help us with what we actually really need, and in fact might.
No, it will help us. It turns out, we already know from what happened how fast the water went through the aquifer, that we either get those pumps or the county somehow spends $30 million to replace the S27. If one of those two things doesn't happen, and the latter won't happen probably, we're going to be like this every single year, worse and worse and worse. So the second thing is that it's likely that there is going to be funding coming through very quickly, and there's a chance that one or both of our proposals will be funded. And if that happens, then the village has like 3 months to come up with an absolute full bore proposal, which is a huge undertaking that we're going to have to do. But at the same time, the county and the Office of Resilience will step in and do a huge amount of the work for us and get us, and they've already worked with, they worked before with Craig Smith to get those 2 items in there now, and they will work with us. But I think this isn't something that the mayor and the manager and the police chief can do by themselves. I mean, this is going to really need coordination by the task force if this happens.
Okay, so then I still propose that we put it as an agenda item for next time, and that let's look ahead to the calendar. And is this something where we can invite the mayor and the village manager to attend along with the engineer? You can do that, right, Omar? That's not a violation of sunshine?
We're good on that.
Right, so then I think it's a meeting with Omar, you, me, the village manager, Hugh, and possibly the engineer, right?
And Katie.
And Katie. Okay, so let's.
And the county. They're. It's the same when those items went in. The top modeler guy from the Water Management District came to the El Pertel Planning and Zoning Committee meeting with Craig Smith, and he testified that we absolutely need it for any future stuff.
Okay, so
we have to do that again.
All right, so I'm going to reach out to you, Hugh, tomorrow just to make sure that I have the list of potential invitees. We're going to put together a meeting as quickly as possible, wherever we can get all these people together on a call, and let's talk about it. And my intention would be that when we meet on the 2nd, that we actually have an update and some more information about this action item.
Okay, and then I'll try to find out if there is possible funding. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you both on that one. I very much
just a final quick note is in the briefing notes I just sent you. a link to the briefing notes, which is actually my Cliff's Notes page on the Everglades for you to check, Elizabeth, to see how far off I am. But also in there, if you could read the section on the LMS to get an idea of how it all works. Great, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you,
Sorry,
guys.
sorry to be abrupt, but I do have a hard stop. So
Okay. I think that's all we have on unfinished business. New business, I just wanted to officially congratulate Mayor Nickerson on his appointment, a new status as both permanent liaison and mayor of El Portal. So congratulations, Mayor Nickerson.
Appreciate that, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. And Hugh, I just sent
Yay.
that email that you sent to myself and the village manager and the police chief. I just sent that to the whole task force, so they have it now.
Great.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor
Thank you.
Nickerson.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Courtney, and all of you guys. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. We have an exciting future ahead. So.
Absolutely. Thank you retroactively for all the work you've done with us and moving forward too. Okay, so that's unfinished business, new business. It's 5:31. Anyone else have anything on that? No?
I motion to adjourn.
Okay, hang on 1 second. Good and welfare. I see a hand up for Kristen. I don't think that's
No,
relevant.
it's old. That's old.
Okay, no good and welfare. Kristen has motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Having a second, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Bye.
Aye. All those in favor say nay. Hearing none, the meeting is officially adjourned at 5:31 p.m.
You guys take care. Thank you very much. Have a great
Bye, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank
you guys.
you. Hugh, I'll reach out to you tomorrow, okay? In the morning.
Take care, you guys. Bye.
All right, bye.
Bye, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair. You guys take care. Bye, Kristen. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate it, man.
Bye.
Bye-bye.